Hi.
Hey.
I've been to your masterclass earlier.
Okay.
And I have a few questions more.
Yeah, sure.
And could you please share us your memories of the Masters of Horror
Masters of Horror, yeah.
segment you did?
I did an episode for a series called Masters of Horror, which I think was like a Showtime thing. And mine was, and they had people like John Carpenter and I think like maybe George Romero did one. I can't, but they had like, Masters of Horror, and I was just like lucky to be on the list. So I got to do my own little episode. It's called Sounds Like, and it's about a character who has super good hearing to the extent that he can, hear even ultimately his own death, and it's almost like it's an affliction for him. It's like it's not a good thing, and I don't know. I really loved doing that because it was like a television show, but it was more like making a little mini movie, right? A 50-odd minute movie. The great thing about that series, that it was an anthology series, is that they gave every director, just gave you complete freedom to do whatever you wanted. There was no producers coming in and changing things. It was just like, write a script, make sure it fits within 50 minutes, and go ahead. This is the budget, and make it. So it was lovely. I don't know if there's many TV shows that are like that anymore, that have that level of creative control. It'd be nice to see more shows like that, anthology shows where they invite several directors in and they give them a certain amount of money and a certain time frame, and they say, go ahead and make something great, whether it's a horror film or a sci-fi movie or whatever.
And is it true that every director had the same budget?
I think. I don't know. I didn't check the budgets. Maybe some got a little more than others. I don't know. But, yeah.
And do you have any interesting, something to say about the preparation or feelings or...
Yeah, really. I mean, the show
cast?
is... Yeah, well, I mean, this actor, Chris Bauer, who plays the lead in that, is such a great character actor. I think he did an amazing job. But I think that movie was interesting to me because it dealt with sound and the idea of sound being a storytelling device as much as the visual medium, right? And my movies, several of my movies, oddly enough, do use sound as much as the visuals. Section 9, for instance, there's a whole sound design element in that movie, which is helping further the story, The movie I just did, that's not done yet, it's called The Silent Hour, is about a deaf cop who is trying to save this woman, and it's a movie that deals almost exclusively with sound design. And I love that element of it. It's an underserved part of the creative process when you make a movie. People take sound for granted often, but when you have a really interesting story where sound is so critical to helping tell that story, like in Sounds Like, that's really exciting to me because it gives you a whole other palette to play with. Usually it's about the visuals, where the camera is and what the frame is. But when you add the element of sound, design, and helping tell the story, it's a whole other level of being able to play with something.
Blood aborda el mito del vampirismo.
Could you go back to your first feature film?
My first film?
The Daring Gap. So could you...
Taking me back.
Yes. So...
yeah.
How did you feel about making a movie and a debut and the Sundance and the everything?
Well, that was my first movie. It was called The Daring Gap. It was made for $60,000. Friends and family. It was a total, what we called a guerrilla style movie, made on the fly for no money. Shot it on 16 millimeter. People just donated their services. It was a true independent film. Early 90s is when we made it. And I made it because I just needed to make a movie. I had been to film school. I had made a lot of short films. I had helped on other people's movies. I had written some scripts. I was into it, but I hadn't really made a feature, right? So, but this was a time in the early 90s, 91, 92, where Sundance Film Festival was was really at the vanguard of this whole independent film scene. People like, Brothers McMullen or Clerks or all these sort of small independent films were seeing huge success, like companies like Miramax and so forth releasing them. So there was a lot of buzz about these smaller independent films by these younger filmmakers. So I was kind of trying to ride that wave a little bit, but I had to make my own movie. So I find that I just said, fuck it, I'm going to make it. I went to a film school in London Film School. It was a 2-year program. I went for the first year, and then I was like, I could spend another ton of money to go for the second year and learn how to direct a scene at school or whatever, or I could just take the tuition that I was going to use for that second year and make an actual movie myself. So that's what I did. I just opted out of the second year, moved back to Boston where I was living, and used that money to make a feature, A Daring Gap. And the movie got into Sundance back in 1996, and it was a small movie. It's a very personal little romantic comedy that I made, again, like with my friends, really, And but it got some recognition at Sundance, and well, here
or in the
I don't know if
United
it's different. It's just this because this is a festival that's specifically designed for sort of like horror, fantasy genre movies. I think you get audiences that are really primed for like these kind of movies, right? They come here specifically to see these kinds of movies. Whereas if you go to say like a Sundance or I don't know, Toronto Film Festival, there's like a whole range of genres, right? So many different movies from so many different places. So the audiences are good there too, but I find them particularly excited here, at this festival. There's other fantasy sort of film festivals in Europe. I don't know, maybe European audiences are a little bit more gung-ho than American audiences. I'm not sure. American audiences are a little more blasé. I think Europe, there's always been like blasé, like whatever. They're a little less impressed by, the whole auteur theory began in Europe, like directors are auteurs, In America, it's always been directors are just craftspeople. They make movies, they churn them out. Think about Hitchcock did like 12 movies a year, bang, bang, bang. Here it's like, carefully designed, beautiful little pieces of art. In America, it's just like they're like just churning them out. So that's sort of that mentality is a little different. But I don't know. I think wherever the audiences are, I'll go to them.
Since it's been a hot topic in the last month, what is your position about artificial intelligence in the movies and in the business?
Understood. Yeah. I think it is a concern, not just in the movie business, but across the board. If you look past the amazing benefits that artificial intelligence is already giving us as a species, there are concerns in the artistic fields, I think, because when you're talking about songs that can be created by artificial intelligence, or performances that can be created by artificial intelligence, or ultimately movies that are directed by artificial intelligence, like it's all going to go there. It already is going there, and I can understand why the actors and the writers in America are trying to get protections from that. But you can't stop progress. It's going to happen. It's like how we adapt to it, right? Maybe it'll have to be like at festivals or awards programs. They'll have different categories: one for human-made films and one for artificially created films. Maybe, I don't know. But I think there's a lot of opportunities in it. But it's also, as artists, you hope that your vision or ideas are unique, and when you realize like an algorithm can make something equally interesting, that's a little scary. So I think it's like any technology. It's going to have its downside and it's going to have its upside. Right now, everyone's focusing on the downside, I think. But there's going to be good that comes out of it, maybe. Maybe it'll be the end of the world. I don't know.
You'll make a movie about it.
If we're all around, yeah.
Ako yung